see how they are used in other cities. And of course, purification systems are also critical. And we do hope that Bauman University will either invent a new source of energy or something to cope with waste, because without the technologies, even if there is political will and citizens' ownership, it will not be possible to solve these issues. Anatoly, well, time-wise, I will leave questions for the end, and I would like to give the floor to Maher Al Kaabi, advisor to the group chairman and independent board member, Al Circle Group of Companies, and UAE Circular Economy Council member. And we would like to ask you about your practices. You are investing actively into green technologies and digital technologies. Could you give us more details about what you are doing and what systems help you cope with the environmental and climate change issues?
Translation was going on, so that's why I was quiet. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for inviting me and being here. I must say, Julia, when you get a presentation in the beginning, I thought you were asking us to leave after your presentation because you kind of captured everything what a city should do, by the way. So really hats off to you. A Circle Group has been very pioneer in UAE in terms of implementing a lot of when it comes to sustainability, circular economy. And our seed goes back in 1992. I was telling you because you started in 1991. We've actually known of co-founding a lot of key businesses in the UAE today, like the First Bank, Second Bank. We look after the metros, the First Insurance Company. We actually co-founded the Dubai Electricity Water Authority and the Sharjah Electricity Water Authority, the Pepsi and so forth. So whenever there was a problem in the city or new things to be developed, the rulers and the government will come to us and tell us, okay, we've got a problem and we would like you to help us. One of the early problems that they came to us back in 1986, the waste which is getting generated from the food establishments, which is the fat, oil, grease, they actually clog the municipal lines. So to unclog them, it requires a lot of money behind that, apart from the maintenance cost and apart from the STP cost, which is actually treating this waste of the city itself. So we looked about the solutions which are available globally at that point in time. So it was a very simple solution, which we put a box just underneath every food establishment. When I say food establishment, like the hotels, restaurants, coffee shops, and whoever cooks basically from the commercial aspect. But then we actually shifted the problem from the municipal lines, which are hazardous waste, to the landfill. So we started impacting the environment. So we said to the government, why can't we come up with a plant which will actually treat this waste and a byproduct will come out of it and we can back use it in the economy. So it'll become a full circular in nature. So of course they agreed and we worked on the regulation for them, which is very important. Without regulations, things do not happen, do not move forward. So that's important. So that will of government to accept it was very, very important for us. So we work as a partnership with the government. So we brought the technology, we brought German machines. Nothing wrong with the German machines, but for some reason they did not work and the machines broke down because the waste we generate in a country of UAE is different. Remember, UAE hosts about more than 200 nationalities, little over the UN charter has. UN has 196 registered countries. So the waste is different. So we had to do quite a lot of R&D locally as well, apart from looking at other solutions. And then when we perfected it, in 2009, the plan started working in. So since then, we actually used, which could have gone wasted, more than 620 million liters of water. It has been put back into the economy. But you know what is important is, it's to measure. Without measuring anything, it's very difficult for you to come up with roadmap, KPIs, and so forth. So one of the things we said we want to do is build on digital solution. And this is something we told in one of the UAE Circular Economy Council meeting, which I'm also sit as a committee member over there, where we look after transitioning the entire UAE from linear economy to a circular economy. So we told them this back in 2023 that we will put a digital platform which will track every single food establishment, what waste they're generating, how much they're generating, taking into account also seasonality factor. So we went live last year, again in collaboration with our government, and now we have a dashboard available for both of us and the government, which can see on live basis what sort of waste is getting generated, and what emissions are there. The next thing we're working on is to build our predictive model. A lot of people jump on saying AI or artificial intelligence. I've been working on AI models for the last probably 30 years in my previous career. And we were building this model. So these AI things have existed for a very, very long time. It actually predated to 1648, but that's a different subject for another matter of time. So what we want to do now is how can we predict the amount of waste generated, would be generated in the future, so we can go and address it today, so we can divert the CO2 emission and the methane emission, because this is very dangerous. One of the other things that we're working on today, given that we've been humbled that we are the only plant today in the entire Middle East which does that, and also profitably, alhamdulillah. So that's mean we will be building these plants regionally and internationally. And for us to do that, we need to make sure that we have to have a digital twins for that. How many of you, by the way, understand what digital twin is? Raise of hands. Okay, because we kind of mentioned it quite a lot and only 3 people raised their hand, so thank you for your honesty. It's a very simple concept. What we do, before we actually create the process or the product physically, we create it virtually. So it's created in a virtual world. So for example, Dubai airports or Dubai city, it's completely on a digital twin. So when you create it virtually, you try to test it to see what is the best way of you building it physically. When you get to the near best way of building it, which is efficient from technology, from cost perspective, and from also environmental perspective, then you go and build that factory live. And once you have the factory in life, we talked a lot about IoT sensors, which is your sensor reading the data from you. So you get feed from these machines through the virtual world of the digital twins, and then you'll be able to actually do a lot of maintenances where before even the machine breaks down. So that's mean not only you save money, but you also have lessened the environmental impact of these factories not being there. So we're building we're trying to build those digital twins so we can actually track what our factories are trying to do today, so we can further help the environment. Of course, we've also, one of the byproduct which comes out of this factory, it becomes a feedstock to another company that we have launched at the beginning of this year, which is converting used cooking oil, brown oil, into a biofuel as well. So technology is the key, but I'd like to address something, take a step back and see what are the key trends globally going on. There are a lot of trends. The key trends which is globally going on are the 2 key ones. One is the digital economy. And if you look at most of the countries are racing to digitize their economies. And UAE has launched the digital economy roadmap. Dubai actually launched it back in 1995, when people did not even talk about it at that point of time. So the seed has to start from long ago, and then you develop. And when we talk about digitizing economies, basically talking about anything with AI, digital twins, IoTs, big data, machine learning, CBDCs, cryptocurrencies, everything. So that's digital verticals you have. The second trend which is going on globally today is, which we talked about as well, is how do we make our economies very circular in nature? And technology will actually push and fuel the development of your circular economy. When we talk about circular economy, is how do you make sure your cities are greener? What resources you have, renewable resources you have, working on your biodiversity as well. So technology will actually aid the development and accelerate the development of your circular economy. And whatever you want to do in life, whatever trend you will talk about, whether it's food security, whether health, and if you think about them carefully, you'll actually put them into these first 2 key trends. Everything comes to technology. Because sometimes one may want to push you and tell you these are oxymoron, i.e. when you talk about technologies, that means you're consuming a lot of energies. Something we did not talk about, but nuclear fusion, it would be the next trend. And it's not something new, by the way. Just last year, there was a breakthrough in actually making sure the nuclear fusion will be abundantly available in the near future. When I say near future, 10 years, 15 years. So yes, in the future, we would have energy source which would be abundantly available at a very, very low price. But if you talked about energy, nuclear fusion maybe 5 years ago, it would have not been possible. But with AI being there and HTS being there, you're able to model these nuclear fusions. As a matter of fact, Microsoft is building its own one plant for using nuclear fusion for the data centers. Of course, they're not building it, but they're hiring another company to build it. So this will become all part of realities. I actually could go on, but I'd like to stop here just to give to my colleague as well a chance to speak.
Да, спасибо большое.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It was highly interesting and informative when you were speaking about your activities. And let us now give a chance to other panelists to speak. And then if we have some time left, we will go back to you, because it is really interesting what goals Dubai poses in terms of return of resources back into the economy, and how you started with, how you engage business and citizens. Thank you very much. But now I would like to give the